Hello everybody, this is Romu from Gorgonzola Ita. In this video, I will be showing you the fundamentals of deck building and deck strategies to be prepared for the new game mode announced in the recent update, 2 vs 2. Let's start with a quick look at the different archetypes available in the game and the basic terminology of Clash Royale. Cycling. Your deck is made of 8 cards chosen by you in the deck building menu. At the start of each match, you are dealt with 4 random cards picked from your deck. Whenever you cast one, the same card can be used after you use 4 other cards you have. The action of returning to the same card is called cycling, and the amount of elixir spent to get back to this card is called cycling cost. This is an important factor when building a deck. Baiting. Whenever building a deck, always consider the ways the enemy has to counter your cards. If you have a card that can die very easily to a certain spell, then all by itself it's not worth very much in your deck. However, if your deck is composed entirely of cards that have to be dealt with the same spell, the enemy will find himself without the needed cards at the right moment. Baiting is just that, forcing your opponent's responses until they don't have any more answers. Elixir trades. Clash Royale is a game of efficiency. The main objective of the game is to convert elixir into cards into damage. The best way to do this is by gaining elixir advantage. Whenever your troops survive a skirmish or you're able to counter your opponents spending less than them, you gain elixir advantage. As the game goes on, your advantage will convert into more cards, while your enemy will be out of elixir to cast anything. Card value. The value of a card can be measured in many ways. You can simply look at the casting cost, but not always that is indicative. In the heat of the battle, a good measurement of a card value can be how much value can it negate to the enemy during its lifespan. Synergy. If the main goal is to maximize the value of your cards, it is a good idea to find combinations that give your cards the best boost they can have to survive longer, do more damage, and kill more enemy troops. Overspending. Overspending in defense might seem like a bad thing to do, and sometimes it is. However, if all the elixir you spent in defense survives perfectly, you now have a very healthy counterpush that the enemy has to answer. Punish. If the enemy overspends on one lane, it means they are low in elixir at the moment. If you are sure you can defend well enough, then you can push on the other lane with punish cards. Usually punish cards are fast, high DPS troops that go for the tower and don't cost too much. Leaking. You gain elixir as time passes, but it caps at 10. Whenever time passes but the elixir is not being spent, you leak elixir. Please do not leak elixir, unless absolutely necessary. Leaking means losing any elixir advantage gained up to that point in that match, and letting your opponent catch up with you, or worse, overtaking you. Investments. In the Clash Royale scene, as of today, defense is better than offense. Engaging enemy troops on your side of the river gives you the bonus DPS of your defensive towers. However, as you gain elixir advantage, you will have to cast cards before your opponent. Instead of just spending because you have to, you can play investment cards. These are cards that bring your elixir bar down from 10 by storing them on the playing field and give back the elixir spent as time goes on. Meta. The word meta means most efficient tactic available, and it depends on the card stats and card usage inside the game over which a single person has no control, even though everyone is responsible in part of the creation of the meta. Now, we are ready to talk about decks and deck building. What are the basic rules to follow when building a deck? There is no particular order in which you should start building your deck. However, I would suggest you look at the level of your cards if you are creating a deck for ladder. Each deck should consist of a win condition, a card that goes for towers and is guaranteed to win you games. One low damage spell or utility troop that might help the survival of your win condition or save you in a pinch. One high damage spell to finish off games, damage their investments or quickly kill tough enemy units. One investment or building to store your elixir advantage and distract enemy win conditions. One punish card for when they overspend. One splash damage unit. One single damage unit, and 1 or 2 extra utility cards. The same card can have multiple roles inside the deck. For example, your punish card can also be your win condition. Or maybe your win condition can be the single damage unit, the high damage spell, or even a building. How you choose to create your deck puts it into different categories or archetypes. Let's see a few. Beatdown. This deck is made by tough spell-resistant troops, resulting in a relatively high average cost. The strategy is to invest, accumulate elixir, defend until double elixir time, and in one single big push destroy every defending troop and tower, winning the game. Since their cost was high, the meta moved towards two directions, going over and going under. To beat a big push, players would either create a deck that was bigger and scarier, or so fast and so small that they could attack every lane constantly with high DPS troops. Speed cycle decks rely on outcycling the opponent's capacity to have their defenses ready in time for the next attack, applying constant pressure. They don't want elixir advantage or momentum. Just keep pressuring and making the enemy play more inefficiently as time goes on. Chip decks use most of their elixir in defense and attack using very cheap troop combinations on enemy tower, dealing 200 to 400 damage at a time, and win just doing that. Bait deck's main objective is to exhaust the enemy's capability to respond to the cards in your deck and just overwhelm them with cheap high DPS, low health troops. Control decks cannot really be defined as one single archetype, but they usually focus on positive elixir traits, have a reactive playstyle, and win with sheer elixir advantage and troop surviving. And finally, the part you are interested in seeing. What are the best archetypes, decks, and deck combinations for 2 vs 2? How does 2 vs 2 work, and how is 2 vs 2 different from 1 vs 1? Let's start by looking at what is different in the map itself. Elixir gain speed is reduced to 85% on 1x and 70% on 2x to reduce the information overload that our brains would have when playing with that much elixir on the field. There are 2 king towers with a single health bar and double HP, but still only 2 archer towers, just like 1v1. The map size is a few tiles bigger behind the king tower to avoid strange visual glitches when dropping multiple troops. Damage, boosts, stuns, slows will affect every troop hit in the radius of the effect. There are 4 players with independent elixir bars and card cycles. It is impossible to say which opponent played what card, so it is impossible to keep track of their elixir. So let's imagine 2 perfectly coordinated teams facing each other. No wasted elixir, only tactical comparison. Cycle decks rely on outcycling. So how do you outcycle someone that can cycle twice as fast as you theoretically? If both players play cycle decks, then there is some chance of getting through, but it still might be a problem since buildings last 30 to 40 seconds, more than enough to get back to them. Same with bait decks. How do you overwhelm someone that has 4 to 6 spells in hand at all times? If both players played bait, there is still chance that each opponent's spell might get double value. Siege. Will your building ever lock to the intercept target with this many troops on the field? It might be a bit difficult to plant a building exactly when both opponents are low in elixir. Control and chip decks might be good in this format. They both want to defend and get damage through whenever in advantage. However, there is only one tower defending against almost 20 elixir or more worth of attack. Advantage will be gained very slowly and might not be sufficient to win. So what remains? Beatdown. Beatdown will be incredible for many reasons. Enemy defenses are not that strong anymore. From the very beginning, you have potentially 20 elixir to use. The tough beatdown troops will survive longer and may block a lane for good amounts of time, stalling till 2x. The slow nature of this deck gives time to communicate with the teammate and will result in less mistakes during the game. Since offense is better than defense in this format, it is very reasonable to think that many matches will go overtime with just 2 king towers standing. Since beatdowns thrive in double elixir, they will have the advantage. So what about hybrid mixes? Well, we have to see.